Today's objective is I can find the amount of angles with a given measurement in a circle by creating a table. So yesterday we really focused on angles and we took a look at all of the benchmark angles that we were familiar with. Remember, the angle is the space between two lines that we can measure using degrees. So yesterday we talked about all of our benchmark angles, like 90-degree angles. (180-degree angles), (45-degree angles), and we talked about circles, which have an angle that measures 360 degrees. And we also talked about what all of these benchmark angles look like inside a circle or within 360 degrees. So the two strategies we used is we used pictures, and then we also used a table, which we will continue to do today. So a table is just our way to organize information from the problem. So in our tables, we used turn or rotation and degrees. So we're going to use everything that we talked about yesterday to help us with our problems for today. Peggy is jumping on a trampoline. She rotates 90 degrees each jump. How many times does she need to jump to rotate 360 degrees? So I'm imagining someone jumping on a trampoline, and every time they jump, they rotate a little. They rotate 90 degrees. I want to find out how many times she needs to jump to rotate 360 degrees. So let's highlight the important information in our problem. She rotates 90 degrees for each jump, and I want to find out how many times does she need to jump to rotate a full 360 degrees. So take a look at our anchor chart for degrees over time. Our first step tells us to create a T-chart and determine turn, degree of turn, and time. For today, we are only going to be focusing on turn and the degree of turn. We are not going to be looking at time today, but we will tomorrow. So I'm going to cross out time. And if you look at the example, I'm also going to cross out seconds, or the time column, on the T-chart. We don't need to look at that quite yet. But we are going to make our T-chart for turn and rotation. So my first column is going to be turn. And my second column is going to be degrees of rotation, or degrees of turn. So we always determine our first turn and our first degree in the turn by looking at the problem. So I know for each jump, she rotates 90 degrees. So for my first turn, or my first jump, she rotates 90 degrees. That 90 degrees tells me the rule of our pattern here. So for each turn, we're going to be adding 90 degrees. So I'm going to add that rule over to the side there, so that if I forget what number to add, I can just look over there. So for each turn, we're going to rotate 90 degrees. I'm going to keep doing this until I reach my stopping point. And in this problem, our stopping point is going to be 360 degrees. All right, let's look at step 2 in our anchor chart. Step 2 tells me to identify my final question. Well, my final question asks me how many times does she need to jump to rotate 360 degrees? So my answer is going to be in how many turns or how many times it takes to rotate. Next up, step 3. Step 3 tells me to fill in my chart in equal increments. So when it says equal increments, it means I'm adding by the same thing each time. So in this case, we're adding 90 degrees each time. All right, so let's move on. We're going to our second turn to find how many degrees in 2 rotations of 90 degrees. We can just add 90 plus 90. 0 plus 0. 9 plus 9 is 18. 90 degrees plus 90 degrees is 180 degrees. We're not at 360 yet, so we keep going. So now we're on our third turn. I take my 180 degrees and I add another 90 degrees. 0 plus 0, 0. 8 plus 9, 17. 1 plus 1 is 2. 270 degrees. We're still not at that 360, so we keep going. Now we're on our fourth turn. I take that 270 and add another 90 degrees. 0 plus 0, 7 plus 9 is 16, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So on my fourth turn, we reach a full 360 degrees. That's our stopping point here, because I want to find out how many times or how many turns she needs to jump to rotate 360 degrees. So we found that it takes her 4 turns to rotate 360 degrees. So we look at our answer choice B. 4 turns. All right, we are finished with this problem. Go to the next video and we'll do a problem together.